Good. So I wanted to ask you though, man. I can't be alone in this. Is it to me just me, or is Kyler Murray look like a character being played by Jordan Peele?
I mean, I think I have too much respect for Jordan Peele.
Oh, so you don't respect Kyler Murray at all, is what you're saying?
That would actually be a really good skit, man. To be honest, man, I don't think he's relevant enough right now for Jordan Peele to do that. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cold-hearted, Chucky.
Well, he was relevant a couple of years ago, man.
Was it the video game shit?
Yeah, he looked pretty good yesterday, man. For the first half, even part second half, he was. Yeah. He's a weapon, man. I mean, he's like a miniature version of Josh Allen.
Oh, dude, he's just a spindly little shit.
Where's that 46? Come on. Hey, listen, a great example, right? When your number's called, being ready.
DFL Football 25. All right, people, welcome in, gather around, listen up.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the DFL Podcast, first episode. I'm your host, Bill Mullane, one of your hosts, joined by my closest longtime friend, Chucky Calzones, Chucky Cheesy Calzones. He's the man. And I'm not going to spend a long intro here before we get right into the conversation. I just need to give everyone listening here a bit of a heads up that this is the first episode. And we are working on getting all the parts together, but I wanted to get something out. We wanted to get something out. And this is it's a little patchy. It's a bit of a bumpy road, if you will. So listen in close, you'll hear the audio kind of bounce around and all sorts of things throughout. That's why it's also not quite that long yet either. But these will probably be more between 30 minutes to an hour as we get into everything and all the audio set up and ready for you. So without anything else, any other bullshit, welcome in Victory Monday. Go Bills, baby! Ow! All right, I have to do that now. Come on, people. If you've heard the Bill Mullane show, you know a little bit what to expect. If not, don't go listening to it if you're here just for football, because the Bill Mullane show is not going to give you anything that you want. That's for a whole different breed of animal. This is for Victory Monday, the Buffalo Bills. Let's get into it. Chucky! Here, let's bring him in. When I was watching him fly around, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
But that's one thing we should talk about here. We should hit on the defense, how they looked. I mean, that's Bobby Babbitt's first time calling any games. Yeah, that's the first half was disgusting. What do you think of it, man?
Yeah, I'm sure the moment was kind of big for him. I mean, the halftime adjustments were pretty good. But I mean, the very optimistic side of me is kind of wondering, are they pulling some wool over the Dolphins' eyes? Are they trying to set them up? That's the very optimistic take on it.
Yeah.
But the first half, man, I think he was a little bit overwhelmed. But it's also, I mean, it's all new faces and new names, man. They got to gel.
Right, and as I watched the game, though, too, man, I think of how much of it is Babbage not putting his guys in position and how much of it is just the obvious that these guys need to gel. It's a new crew on both sides of the ball, really. And look at how over-aggressively they played the ball at a lot of points. There were points in the game where the pass rush was absent, and then points where it was just, whoa. I mean, that one play where they let Marvin Harrison Jr. open, for a game-sealing touchdown, man. I mean, thankfully he didn't get it. He didn't get there. But that was dangerous, man. And that's calling, but then there's also,
Yeah, I mean, at one point, man, I think Kyler Murray in the first half was 11 for 12 or 11 for 13. Yeah. 8 completions in a row, man. The guys were wide open. So was that scheme? Was that confusion by the players on the field? Time will tell, man, but it didn't look good. If that's Kansas City, those are, quick drive touchdowns, man. If that's Tyreek Hill, that's a touchdown, one play, man. So I don't know. There's cause for concern.
Allen's injury, man. Are you worried about it, Chucky?
So it could be a broken hand. Man, to be honest, he's like what? Isn't he like 240?
I watched that replay, and he gets up, man. And you can see before. I mean, he's trying to celebrate. He's looking down at it. He's shaking it. He's like, "Fucking something's wrong, man." You can see him thinking it.
I think it might be a fracture or a straight broken.
Yeah, fracture possibly, man. I mean, how do you think that'll keep him out? It's Allen, man.
Well, how much does he weigh? He's like 240,
6'5", 240, somewhere in there, something like that, man. I know that's a lot of weight coming down on that hand. But it's his non-throwing hand, Chuck, and I can see Allen just like saying, "Well, I'm just gonna play and watch my hand when I play." I mean, dude, he played the last 2 years. Really,
there's no doubt. He's definitely gonna play the whole year. What I'm saying is it a concern? Yeah, remember when it was, like his arm was jacked up 2 years ago. He still played through it, but he couldn't. He wasn't the same.
The shoulder, he played through the elbow. Yeah, I know he wasn't the same, right? That's absolutely true. And I don't want to say just get out there and do it, But yeah, it's he will, man. He's that dude.
Well, I think those are the three big things that we should talk about, man. Is Allen's injury, is the defense going to be a pile of flaming garbage this year? And again, man.
I think that's just the sound of a turncoat, though. Talking, man, a flying pile of garbage, man. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I know
we disagree on this last. Well, I think we disagree on this last point, man. But yeah, McDermott's play calling at the end of the game, I don't like it, dude.
Yeah, I think that yesterday, I understand you not liking it. I understand people not liking it. What I was trying to tell you is I think that yesterday showed that he can keep his defense, get his defense out there, and the defense can win the game in the end. Now, it's not really McDermott's defense 100%, but we know it always kind of is, And I like the play calling at the end of the game. I think I'll give you a chance to say what you wanted to say, what you said about before, because you worded it well, and you're saying it better than I can. But I think that yesterday, my point was that it wasn't a Kansas City game yesterday. It was the first game of the season. I don't know about the field goal of death you mentioned. You can talk about it.
It's called the field goal of death. Okay. Yeah. So when there's 2 minutes or less in the game, you're driving down the field. You're already up by 3 or 2 or 1, whatever, If you're already up by a point or more, a point to 3, right? And you're driving down the field, which in this case the Bills were already up by a field goal. They had 5 straight runs in a row, man. And the last one by Allen, I don't know. I would have liked to seen a pass there because it's called the field goal of death. So what McDermott chose to do was to kick the field goal, which was a windy day. It was a 50-yarder. Bass is already shaky. But even take those factors out of it, man. It's called the field goal of death for a reason. The analytics say that, if you take that field goal, even if you do get it, it puts your defense in a rough spot. Because then it's basically forcing the other team's offense. They know they need to score a touchdown, so they're coming out aggressive. So it would be better to even miss or not convert on the 4th down, because it's better to be only up by 3 than to be up by 6. Do you know what I mean by this? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get the idea behind it, and I guess
the analytics show that it's called the field goal of death. Teams actually lose more often than win when they do that.
I understand, and analytics has its place, but I guess maybe it's a more archaic strategy that's not employed maybe as often anymore, because the idea obviously being you want to force them to have to not get to the 40-yard line to beat you. You want to make them go that other 40 yards, put more points on the board. Especially if they have a good kicker. I get where you're coming from with it, where that comes from, but I can't say that I can't say on a game on opening day that one way or the other that should have necessarily, that should be a strategy of a point of criticism against McDermott, who takes a lot of shit from this fan base, And I'm saying, and then the defense closes out a game yesterday, and instead of being like, hey, maybe McDermott, can get a game closed at the end, instead of going, hey, maybe it is that, here they come. Field goal of death. Give us that fucking break, man.
To expand the point further, man. Okay, so who's the standard of the league right now? Who is it?
Like Mahomes and
the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
What would they have done in that moment? I'm not saying we need to copy the Chiefs, right? But what I'm saying, man, it's just, we're at a turning point here, man. I mean, we were already previously. We have the guy. We have our franchise quarterback, man.
I know.
If we have a ultra conservative, he's not ultra conservative, man. I love McDermott is great. Okay, I love how he goes for it on fourth downs, like most of the time, man. But he tightens up in the last moments, man. Like Andy Reid, he doesn't, man, and that's the difference. So like, the more that we do this, the more we're wasting our time with QB1, man.
Who the hell is this?
I don't know. I think I had a conversation with someone, I think from your studio there. I don't know what the heck's his name. I forget his name. But anyway, he had asked me what I thought would go for the season, and I had said...
Let's have the segment, man. Doubting Thomas picks the Bills, man. We got him on the line. Let's go.
There's been some technical difficulties, man, and a lot of what you said just now was not going to be picked up on a recording. So it's okay, though. You can still go through. You gave your pick on the Dolphins-Bills. Who'd you say was going to win that Thursday night?
The Bills.
Oh, come on. That's not...
I would say maybe the Dolphins in Miami, but I have since changed my mind because I like the Bills' defense much more. And I don't... I know they have Tyreek, and I know they have a good quarterback, and they can get a good running game going if you don't pay attention to it. But I don't think the Bills are going to do that. I think they're going to be just fine. I think they're going to cover them just well. I really do.
Well, I believe you are correct, and I believe you got to go, don't you? No sweat, Intruder. We appreciate the pick there that Chucky calls doubting.
So what are you saying? 13-4?
Yes, I do.
13-4 or 12-5? What is he saying?
I heard Bills fan, But I do have to run.
All right.
I have to give a shout out to Baker Mayfield. I don't know if you guys watched that or anything, but come on, the guy threw for 4 touchdowns yesterday, and it's looking like he's picking up right where he left off last year.
All right, Doubting Thomas picks the Bucks.
Make a statement for Tampa. But I got to get going. I won't. I hope to talk to you again at some time.
Hey, listen, you don't
Maybe
have to sign off like this is a letter. I'm just going to hang up on you. But listen, check it out. This is the first time that anything that you're saying is being put on here, that we're doing this. A lot of this shit is getting cut up like crazy. This episode is going to be kind of a bunch of chaos, it seems like right now, because my recording kept dropping out too. So, but thanks for your picks there, Tugboat, or Doubting Thomas.
Who? The Intruder, Tugboat, or Doubting Thomas? Who the hell are you talking to?
Just the Intruder, man. He's
okay.
I guess he's got a couple different personalities. All right,
talk
see
to you
you
at
later.
another time. All right.
What are you intruding on? It sounds like a sexual predator, man. That's what it sounds like.
Hey, kids. I got some real nice pics in the back of my car. Come check them out.
Over here, I had to take my daughter to school, man. This is how obsessed I am with football, though. I did want to open the show kind of talking a little bit for a second about I take her to school, I drive her and drop her off, and I'm so happy football is back that I drive over to the little donut shop there to go through to get my morning cold brew. The line's long. And I'm just, man, I can't just, and the radio, they're not talking about nothing. They keep going to commercials or have people with their useless opinions chime in. And so I sat there in the drive-thru watching the Bills Cardinals highlights, man. Through the drive-thru. That's how I got.
I got one better for you, Bill. I got home last night from hanging out with my fiance, and I watched the highlights at 9:30 p.m. at night, man. I popped on the YouTube on my TV and just watched 15 minutes of the.
Gotta watch that. Gotta watch that.
Like
yes,
all
you
the
put it on
plays
YouTube. I'm
game,
sure it's the
man.
same highlight reel. That's you gotta watch that after every win. It's harder to watch them when the Bills lose.
Well, listen, man. So I just gotta say that when it comes to the Bills, both you and your old man, you guys are always overly positive about them. So, like, what I want to say, man, is what I want to ask you is, like, what are your concerns with what you saw in the team that was on the field yesterday?
You know, I can definitely be over optimistic, but I often go with my gut, man, and I get certain feelings about things. And like when the Bills' offense first came on the field yesterday, I'll talk about that first, even though that was the second thing that happened. But when they came on the field, we had the Allen fumble. That's the type of shit that probably concerns me the most. But like I told the old man, if Allen fumbling and Allen's fucking need to tame himself back, Allen's need to just step back and take it easy for a second, or to be more alert sometimes if a guy's pulling up right behind him and he doesn't even see this or feel him. If that's our biggest concern on offense, our biggest issue really, then I think that's a very good place to be. And you got one of the best players in the league is your biggest issue. And so I actually felt great when they first came out on offense because I felt like they just looked and had a feeling. And like I said, it kind of goes with my gut kind of feel that sometimes but I'm watching, I go, I know it didn't end well. We got 2 first downs and a strip sack fumble, but it just had a feel of like, nah, man, just watch them. This offense is, as soon as they start gelling, they start coming together, they're just going to look nasty, man. They're going to be great. So my one concern is Allen's own, his own mind when he starts going and he starts getting lost in the I got to go do this. And I know I'm not going to just echo the old guy's hero ball concern bullshit. I'm just saying. I think that's his settling, his ability to make sure he stays there. Because I think our receivers are set fine. Now, if I had to worry anything else, my other concerns about the Bills in a whole, yes, is the defense. But our safeties, Rapp and Hamlin. I mean, that's we see when Edwards is healthy. We'll see when Cole Bishop comes back. We'll see what can be done there. But that would probably be my biggest concern is that. Yeah, I have a little concern with McDermott's coaching, but not nearly as much as the rest of the fan base and the things you hear all the time. It's not necessarily overly optimistic. It's just I think he's done so much good that I try to give him more of a benefit of the doubt than other people do.
So let me say one quick thing on that, man. So I think that he's a great coach. I think when it's not the last couple minutes of the game, man, or when it's not the big moments, every other time in the game, man, he's a great coach. And he definitely knows how to put a good team on the field. He definitely knows how to build a great culture. Man, my concern, I know you're going to say, like, this isn't an original take, Chuck, but he's not. He tightens up in the final moments, man. And, like, when we have QB1 and we have a decent roster around him, man, if we have a coach that tightens up in the final seconds, we're wasting time, man. Like, we haven't had a chance to win the Super Bowl as much as we do in the past 4 years. We haven't had that in decades, man, since Kelly.
Right. I know. I hear you. And I understand the concerns, man. And that's the same pain that everyone around this Western New York area has felt for our entire lives. But the only thing is that I got to say here is because the DFL podcast, bro, this shit's a little different than other sports shows where people talk about fucking football and the same things you hear all the time. And so I got to let the audience here know and be real with them here. This guy, Chucky, that just gave you that spiel about Coach McDermott. This is the same guy who 8 years ago, or 6 years ago, 7 years ago, put forth a ridiculous conspiracy theory that McDermott needed to go immediately because he was stacking the Bills roster with evangelicals. Remember that? What? So it's hard to take some of that opinion seriously if you know this guy. But hey, it is you do make some good points though, even for
that was a legit. He was getting rid of some really good players, man, and he was.
It's true.
It seemed like he was keeping players that were just all about faith and family, man. And like,
That's true. Yeah.
don't get me wrong.
I know.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a spiritual guy. You know, I
understand.
I believe in Jesus, but like, I don't know. Like, when it comes to watching my football team, man, I want to,
I understand.
good players on the field, man.
But yeah, that was just, I thought that's a funny thing.
Well, just a couple,
quick
quick like lightning round points here, man. So I think
Hey, go for it.
Tyler Bass, he looks, not very confident. Man. I mean, he made two good field goals, but I think overall, man, I think he looks shaky. I think Allen is maybe the best quarterback to have on fourth down. With him and Mahomes, those are the two guys.
He's got that monster, man.
And I think he's maybe him and Mahomes. If we're being honest, probably Mahomes, but Allen too. Second best quarterback to have when you're down, 17, 21 points. Man, the Bills scored 21 straight points in the second quarter and on.
That's true.
Yes.
And the defense made amazing adjustments in the second half. And you think about it too, I think they scored one offensive touchdown, but the other was the kick return.
I think Coleman.
They held him.
Coleman has like solid hands, man. He caught everything thrown his way, other than that one.
That deep ball, like the corner, they're down by the 1-2. Where did he catch that? The 4? Maybe?
That's why we got him, man. I think that's what Bean saw.
Yeah. Just put it up there. He'll get it.
I think Shakir looks good. I think he's going to be a solid
he's the man,
option.
dude.
I don't think he's wide receiver 1, but I mean, he's a yak guy. I'm excited.
His route running is incredible.
But the one thing that we didn't talk about yet, man, is
ridiculous.
the referee crew yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know what those guys. I mean, I know it's the first game of the season, but they looked like they were fresh on the job, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the game happens fast, and that's one thing you try and remember. But if you're a ref, and this will always go back to the same complaint that I feel could be fixed if referees were full-time, employees of the NFL instead of working these side jobs or whatever the hell it is they do, and they come in. But because they say it happens so fast, so you gotta go, okay, but the dive over Kyler Murray, that penalty, I mean, that was huge too. That was the only reason they scored. That should have been 3 points. That was a 4-point penalty right there, and it was ridiculous. But it's also so ridiculous in slow motion. Now, when it came to that same play happened against Allen and they didn't call it, while the old man sat there with me and he goes, "What's that?" And he's throwing. He just sees Allen hit the ground. I'll be honest with you, bro. I kind of went, That looks a little more like this guy came down and bumped into him, and Allen threw his head back a little, acting there, because he does it all the time. I love that he does it, but he tries to draw penalties all the time. I think Allen did a little acting, throwing himself back when he got took that little shoulder pop on the slide.
Yeah, but that first roughing the passer called on Ingram, man.
Yeah, that was
a joke.
It was a joke of a call, man.
And yeah, the one that they did call on Allen, I thought that was kind of ridiculous, where it was more like a horse collar.
It looked like a horse collar at first. I thought maybe that's what it was. And then when they call roughing and you look at it again, it's kind of like, no, he just kind of tackled him pretty good.
And then they could have called pass interference, the last play, not the last play before we kneeled down. But
they could have.
They could have called it on Ingram at the very end, man. And we could be having a totally different show this morning.
Yeah, it would be a whole different conversation about cleaning up penalties, which should be mentioned too. That needs to be addressed. The offensive line, that was ridiculous. The face mask on Torrance. This is a guy who's played the entire season last year as a rookie and didn't miss one snap. It is quite impressive, and he wasn't known for getting penalties called, a few holds. But when it comes to that one, there was something the announcer was saying. Who played lineman. And you got to let go of the face mask. He was just stuff like that is simple crap that needs to be cleaned up,
Yeah, I think there were a couple of bad penalties on the offensive line yesterday. That Osiris Torrance call. I think Dawkins only had 6 holding penalties last year, but he had 2 yesterday, man. And then Spencer Brown had a pretty bad hold yesterday, too.
He did.
So what did we get to? We talked to some of the news, man. We got to the old man as intruding. I'll see what the hell came through. As soon as I tried to hear him, I had to unplug the headset. So I had to tip the phone to the computer and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that could be pretty fucked up. But I'm gonna play with it, man. I'll see if I can get something good up by 2:00. Can't promise. That's the only thing that I would. I mean, I'll and don't worry, I'm gonna do recording intros and outro. I got an awesome intro thing coming too. So I'm gonna see if it'll be up by 2. What we'll get in here, it'll probably be like a 20-minute thing or something. We'll get some of our highlights of what we spoke about and blah blah.
Well, that was fun, man. Looking forward to doing
thanks.
this every week, man. We'll talk about the Bills, man. Like, you know.
That's what I was gonna say. Give us a little sign off, man. Say something that you want to say at the end.
I'll leave you guys with this, man. You know, one thing to know about Bill Mullane is that, you know, the guy, I met him on the playground, you know, in first grade. I asked him if he wanted to play football. You know, it was the first time I ever met the guy. You know, we needed another player because we were playing on the playground. You know, we had odd numbers. And the guy's like, no, I can't. My ears are pierced. So let that just show you guys who he really is. Like, is he a true football fan, or is he just more of a poser?
Coward.
I would say coward. Coward's a good way to put it. But I wonder, man. I wonder if I would have asked him, like, do you want to have a tea party? If he would have said yes, man. So if I ever build a time machine, you know, that's likely what I'll do, man. Is go back in time and ask him if you wanted to have a tea party, because I wonder if he would have said yes.
All right. So this is what we learned here today on the first episode of the DFL Podcast. We learned that the co-host, Chucky, here is a grown man whose dream is to go back in time and have tea parties with children. So
that's about right, man. I don't know how else to wrap it up, man. That's how we're wrapping it.
It is 10 p.m. Monday night. I'm getting ready to watch the Monday night game and eating late dinner with my daughter. That is the end of the DFL Podcast first episode, though. I wanted to let everybody know. Sorry, I just finished editing it. I didn't even plug in my microphone to record this little bit, so I'm not doing a nice, fun, fancy outro. Here's your fancy outro, man. Yeah, fuck off. DFL, baby. Let's go. I'll see you next week on this one.